Hello and welcome to another GCSE business recording. In this video, we will be looking at one of the 4 Ps, which is place. So usually you look at product first because you're analysing the product, you're looking at the product life cycle, the Boston Matrix, and from there you will go to look at the price, promotion and place. So place is one of the 4 Ps. Place is really important, and place has changed over time, especially with the introduction of the internet. Products are distributed in many different ways, and companies have a number of different ways that they can distribute their products. With the internet, they have access to customers all around the world. So can you think of places that companies can distribute their products to? And think about how they can distribute those products. So place is about where do people buy products from? Now, it used to be very traditional that you would go shopping in your high street or in your local shopping centre. That's where you would buy your goods and services. Over time, especially after COVID, we have done considerably more shopping online. The ease of access online means that you can shop 24/7, 365 days of the year, and you can do your research and get the best deals possible. You have access now to a significant number of products from all around the world. Buying is a lot easier than it used to be, and you can do your research, like I said, and find the best prices. When we're considering place in an exam situation, what we're normally having to do is justify where someone is locating their business and why. So you may have to write a persuasion paragraph in your answer. Explain why shopping in a high street store is the best option for consumers. Now, what you need to think about is the availability of the resources, the products that they can try on, the benefit of being able to see what products they like, the textures, the sizing. You will need to be able to write a persuasive argument, and location is a very common question. Should someone be located on a high street or should they set up online? What is the best option for that? And you'll need to be able to write a persuasive paragraph, whether it should be online through e-commerce, e-tailing, m-commerce, so your mobile, or whether it should be actually on the high street to try and aim for the footfall, so people walking past. What type of product is it, and what type of product are you aiming at? Are your consumers going to be buying it on the spur of a moment? So, for example, a coffee shop, you're going to need customers to go in potentially. You're not going to need them to buy it online. But where do you locate that coffee shop? We've got more drive-throughs nowadays, which is a lot more American. So we really need to think, and you need to be able to write a persuasive paragraph on why do you think. And there's never normally a right or wrong answer unless it's been explicitly mentioned in a case study. It's your justification that will really count. So when we're looking at place, what we need to take into consideration is the channels of distribution. In other words, what process does the product go through to get from the producer to the consumer? In certain situations, the product will go from the producer to a wholesaler, onto a retailer, and onto the consumer. So the producer will make the product, they will send to a wholesaler who sells a number of different products on a very large scale. A retailer will go to that wholesaler and buy the products that they want, and then they will make their product and sell it onto the consumer. Some products skip out the wholesaler and they go from producer to retailer to consumer. Other products go straight from the producer to the consumer. But it's really important that you understand the channel of distribution. What stages is this product going through to get from the producer to the consumer? The more stages it goes through, potentially, the more profit each stage is going to want to take from that product. So they may mark up that product. So more stages may mean the product is more costly. but it's important to understand the different stages, the channels of distribution for each product. So a multi-channel distribution involves a business using more than one type of distribution channel. So it's important to think about what this means, because we really do need to know the channels of distribution. How might a retailer distribute their products? They have a number of different choices. They may decide to use all the methods. They may decide to have their own shop on the high street. They may decide to sell their products within other stores. They may decide to sell their products online. If they are doing a number of different distribution methods, they are a multi-channel distribution company. So more than one type of distribution method means it's a multi-channel distribution company. So as I said, many companies now sell online. Even small companies, your local companies, will sell online. And that can come in a number of different ways. That could just simply be through Facebook, Instagram, or it could be through their own websites. Websites aren't as popular now as social media and setting up social media platforms. But let's have a look at the benefits of online distribution. So e-tailers do not have to meet the cost of operating resale stores. So if you've got a question that is explaining why a business should sell online, it means they can close their stores down and save themselves considerable amounts of money. Lower startup costs. Again, you're not going to have that outlay of having to invest in physical stores, which will lower your startup costs. That means customers can benefit from lower prices, because if your costs are lower when you set up your business, if your operating costs are lower, you can reduce the prices of your products. Like I said a minute ago, customers can shop 24/7. You will always be open without even having to be there. It allows consumers to make comparisons between brands. And that really helps as well, because you can buy a product with considerably more information, which means you have a lot more choice. You can read reviews, and we all read reviews. You know, you look on to holiday sites and you look at buying a holiday and you read all the reviews, and it's really important because it can give you a lot more information than you would have had before. So let's just have a look specifically at a 6-mark question to do with place. Explain 2 benefits to a business of implementing e-commerce as a method of distribution. And remember, when it's talking about distribution, it's talking about place. So you're talking about the marketing mix. So the command word here, explain 2. So you must give 2 benefits, and for each include a chain of reasoning. So your point and explain and consequence. Each benefit can earn up to 3 marks. 1 mark for identifying the benefit, 1 to 2 marks for explaining the benefit and its impact. So pause the video for 6 minutes or longer if you have extra time, and try and complete that answer. And then in a minute, play the video and we will have a look at a model answer. So let's have a look at a model answer. And there are 2 paragraphs here. We'll just look at one for the sake of the video. You can go back and read through the second paragraph. One benefit of using e-commerce is that it allows a business to reach a wider market. So straight away, you've given a reason why it's good. For example, customers can access the business's website from anywhere in the world, rather than being limited to local footfall. This means that the business can increase sales and revenue because it is not restricted to one geographical area. So straight away, you have given me the benefit, an example, and then you've gone on to explain the impact of that. And then obviously you'll choose a second one. So the second one talking about reducing costs associated with running a physical store. That obviously can then be passed on. They can either benefit from greater profit margins, or it can be passed on to the consumer and therefore you're increasing your sales. So compare your answer to the model answer. Okay, so let's have a look at a 9-mark question. A business is considering whether to sell its new range of sports clothing through its own website or through retail stores such as JD Sports. Evaluate which method of distribution would be more suitable for the business. So again, this is a distribution question, so we're relating to place. And for a 9-mark question, here you've got a choice between two. And this is what you'll need to talk about for a 9-mark question. Which one is better and why? Now, there's usually no right or wrong answer here in terms of which one is better. It simply comes down to your justification. So to answer a question like this, what we need to think about is that command word, evaluate. So you need to present both sides of the argument, your pros, your cons, your advantages, your disadvantages. And then you need to justify and write a conclusion. So for a structure, introduction, briefly define place. Give me an argument for selling online, arguments for selling through a retail store, and then you conclude. And you conclude by saying which one you would choose and why you would choose it. In your justification, it's really important to say why you would choose it, what else you understand may be difficult to justify, what else you understand is going to impact it, but fundamentally what is the most important. So give yourself 9 minutes, pause the video and have a go at writing the answer. If you have extra time, make sure you give yourself extra time, but keep this screen on so you can see the structure. Okay, so let's have a look at an answer. Place refers to how a product is distributed to customers, such as through physical stores or online platforms. Selling through its own website could allow the business to sell directly to consumers, removing intermediaries and keeping more of the profit. It also provides control over branding and customer experience. In addition, selling online means customers can order 24/7, which would increase sales and convenience, particularly for younger, tech-savvy consumers. However, setting up an e-commerce platform requires investment in technology and logistics, such as delivery systems and online security. This could be costly for a new product range. So, here we have looked at a benefit, we've discussed the benefits, and we have also given a however. Selling through retail stores like JD Sports allows the business to benefit from existing footfall and the retailer brand reputation. So now we're talking from the other side of things. So we've done advantages and however, and then you do advantages of why you potentially shouldn't, and then you do a however. And then you go on to actually conclude. In conclusion, selling through JD Sports may be more suitable. And it goes on to then talk about how you can reach customers quickly, build brand loyalty once a brand's established, and so on and so forth, increasing profit margins, reaching wider audiences. A lot of key terms are used in that answer. And that's really important. You need to think outside the box a little bit and think about what else does it impact? What other theories does it impact within the business? And that structure is really important. So that introduction, not always necessary, but it does lead to a nice start to an essay. So introduction, reason for, and a however. Then a for the other side, but a however, and then a conclusion giving your justification. Which one would you choose and why would you choose it? So when you're looking at place, you must remember that it's often used, the term used in questions is distribution. How are we getting our product from the producer to the consumer? So we're looking at that channel of distribution. Be really explicit in your answers in terms of the question, making sure you're relevant to the question and the case study. That is extremely important. Your answers have to be clear and on point. Go back and have another go. Have a practice, go onto the website, find past paper questions, give them a go and use that structure.